It is time for Inside the 10 as I welcome Michael Shamus, Andrew Webster and Neil Breen. Great to have you all on the couch. All right, well, let's get started. Last night we did see a pretty shocking forward pass call. So there will be a lot of discussion about this in the coming days, coming weeks. Should the NRL rush through forward pass technology to make sure this doesn't happen again?
No way. I honestly, we would never stop going to the bunker. Like, there's blatant ones, and then what about the line ball ones? How would you possibly handle that? I think it'd be an absolute disaster. What we have to do is somehow get the touchy to say that was forward.
Well, go quicker, run faster.
Well, that was the thing last night. It was the speed of the game was so quick that, you know,
and the speed
he was
of the game
positioned well.
Six again, all these things.
So the NRL have been looking at microchip technology in the ball for some time, and they were serious about it at the start of the year, and I think they backed away and thought there was other things that they can concentrate on. I was never a big fan of the bunker ruling on forward passes, but I think the game's become so quick for the match officials, and I think there's so many angles and the coverage is so good. I think for try-scoring situations, I think the bunker should be able to make a call on them.
So you can go back in a try-scoring situation. You can go back to for the entire set to see.
No, just the start, just that play, that play.
I completely agree with Webby. He's been spending a lot of time.
God.
He's been spending a lot of time around Wayne Bennett. He's talking sense. So I think it's the right idea, and it is in try-scoring situations is where it most suits. As Bruni said, you don't want the bunker getting involved too much going back.
What about when they're going to get into the line ball ones?
Well, there's got to be a blatant last night.
It's got to be blatant.
It's got to be blatant. That's all right. But then,
like last night was embarrassing.
But they won't be able to help themselves.
We'll be looking at lines.
What's worse, Bruni, than that happening last night, or them going back and getting it right? I think the technology isn't as close as we'd like it to be. And even if it is, as you said, what about the line ball ones? Are we getting as close to like offside calls in soccer where every millimetre counts?
But the thing is, during that game, there was 2 forward pass calls on one ball. One there wasn't a forward pass, and one which was line ball. But yeah, I just think the game's got so quick that and the technology's there in terms of video for tries. Particularly in a big game like that, they should
and
be
just in try-scoring situations.
I reckon they should be able to make a call.
But will they ever solve, the inertia argument? Where it's got to come out back, but it still travels forward. It's like throwing.
No, I get it.
Throwing a tennis ball out the window of a car.
Then play on. If it's not obvious, then play on. It's got to be the howlers. You've got to come up with some sort of system like cricket, where if it's line ball, you go with the referee's call. But if it's obvious.
But it should if you bring the bunker in to rule on these, should the bunker be going back and looking, or should they only be going back and looking if the referee says, can we check on the forward pass?
Yeah.
Well, if they did it, they should only do that.
They look at everything anyway. They don't confirm tries till the bunker goes back and has a look at it. They want to go up and have a look at little knock-ons. What's the difference? Like when they go up for a kick and their hand goes up and they were looking if the ball went slightly forward or slightly back, you're still checking to see if a ball went forward. I don't see the difference.
All right, on to our next topic. Ben Hunt, he keeps saying that he wants out of the Dragons. Shane Flanagan keeps saying that he will want to stay. What should the club do?
Well, they've got to stand on their digs because they've stood on their digs to this point. But you've got a major problem on your hands where your skipper, every time he opens his mouth, he pots the joint. No, seriously.
It's
seriously.
I can't actually recall anything like it where, like, he cannot make it any clearer every time he speaks, Ben Hunt, that he doesn't want to be there. And I know he got bashed up a little bit today by former players at the Dragons. At least he's being honest. As a Dragons fan, it confounds me that our best player on over $1 million a year, our captain, our halfback, and he doesn't want to be there. Like, only the Dragons could get them, maybe the West Tigers, but only the Dragons could get themselves into that situation. They need to try and leverage it with another club to get something back in return. The problem is there's not a whole wealth of quality players on the market at the moment.
I was at St George Leagues Club during the week. They had a breakfast. Shane Flanagan had this initiative where he's bringing in people from within the club, board members, sponsors, potential sponsors, and they got to ask questions of Shane Flanagan. And it was interesting. One of the prospective commercial partners said, I'm actually sick of this whole Ben Hunt situation. I'd be happy for him to go, get someone in who actually cares about the place, wants to play, even if it's a kid. Now, it's difficult for Shane Flanagan. He's going to be judged on winning and losing, and the best person to help him ensure that they win is Ben Hunt. But I completely understand, as Webby is, as Dragons fan as I am, I completely understand the fans being ticked off with Ben Hunt. openly talking about his displeasure about being at the place. And I get the frustration that just go, but it's not going to help the Dragons win football games. And so Shane Flanagan's now in a situation where he's got to manage him, but also be in a spot where you're saying, okay, well, you still need to comply with what we're trying to do here. You don't get special treatment because you're unhappy. It'll be all up to Ben Hunt. If he goes in there kicking stones November 1, it's going to end in tears for the Dragons.
He
And
can't
for
stay
Shane Flanagan.
skipper.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Because when he
creates
says, right, we're going to do another couple of 400s or something, blokes would go, mate, you don't even want to be here.
There isn't a skipper at the club, though, outside of him.
That's
what are they
right.
going to do? They've tried to make Jack DeBellin captain a couple of times, and that's been met with plenty of resistance.
Yeah.
There are no leaders, which is why someone like Mark Taylor, and they brought in Mark Coyne, they want to get him involved with the club to actually show them what leadership looks like, because there isn't anything there at the club.
Maybe
think-
Tubbs could play halfback.
He seems pretty keen. Do you think that the Dragons need to look at, okay, what's most important to us? Do we want to be winning games, or do we want to be looking at maybe a rebuild? So if they let Ben Hunt go, that means they obviously get the cash, and then they can, but it will take
it elsewhere.
time. So they need to work out whether it's immediate results,
Or it's
you know,
a
having a
5-year
few,
plan.
or it's a.
but-
or
But
it's
I
a
reckon that's the
long-term
game of
plan.
chicken.
Yeah.
I reckon that's the game of chicken that Ben Hunt and his management are playing with the Dragons, hoping that that's what they want. They're going to go, well, you know what? This isn't working. We're going to have to cut our losses here and let him go. And that's why I think he's making the statements publicly that he is. Whether the Dragons hold their nerve and think that it's worth the hassle, and whether Flano's talking a great game, and it's great to see the fresh approach that he's brought in. But we'll know by about April or May next year whether it comes to fruition. You know?
He'll want to win, like you said earlier. He'll want to win, and if you go for a 5-year plan, well, you're not going to win. You know?
No, that's right.
Do you think Flano can change Ben's mind?
I think results will only change Ben's mind. Look, it's clear that he's frustrated with losing, and Shane Flanagan will come in there and he'll change the club. He'll bring all different people in, and it'll be a different feel. It's all well and good. It's not going to mean anything. They go and lose the first 5 games of the year. If they turn it around on the field, then Ben Hunt, I think in 2025, may stay. But if they don't, they miss the 8, then he's going to kick stones at the end of the year and he's going to be out the door. And the Dragons in that situation, while they've held their nerve now, they can't. They can't do it beyond 12 months. They have to let him go.
It won't last the whole 2 years. No way.
It's all going to be dependent on results.
He can't. Can he?
Well, I don't see the Dragons going on a run to make the... I'd love to see it, but is there enough talent in that roster to turn it around? I don't know. You saw the Warriors do it, to be fair. A team that many of us considered potential wooden spooners, and they turned it around.
Anyway.
So.
All right, well, plenty to play out at the Dragons. All right, moving on. Andrew Webster, Kevin Walters, or Ivan Cleary as Coach of the Year, and not you, Webby.
I do deserve it. Look, I'd be happy with all 3, but I do think Andrew Webster deserves it, given where they've come from, the Warriors, and what he's been able to do with a squad that he didn't change in his first year to come that close to a grand final. I think that's something worth celebrating. I get it with Ivan, and I get it with Kevy too, but I just think what Andrew's done this year, from where they were and the fact that they were on the road for the best part of 2.5 years, that's something that should be credited.
Well, we actually went over to New Zealand recently and we did an interview with Andrew Webster and a lot of the players as well, and they said that he's got one of the best attitudes. They can be talking serious footy, but he knows how to lighten the room. And the fact that he actually never played NRL as well. So to achieve what he's done, it's
is
remarkable.
amazing. But at the end of the day, so is what Ivan Cleary's done with the changing roster, 4 grand finals in a row, this amazing team, keeping everyone on the straight and narrow, defending a premiership's almost impossible, and he's done it now. They're in a 4th grand final, trying to win 3 in a row. But then the argument for Kevy is enormous. He had players in his own team bagging him in podcasts saying he's not the coach. They had that collapse last year. He's worked out what went wrong last year. He's got the playing group all totally united, and here they are. They're just flying into a grand final.
And more scrutiny. Brenny, you understand that market
In
as well.
Brisbane?
They'd have to be the most scrutinised team in the comp.
Absolutely.
He has done well.
And the challenge of a new team, all of those things, the job Kevin Walters has done in Brisbane is off the charts good. Like off the charts that he's been able to do that and got them into a grand final.
I'm with you. I think the fact they got to the grand final now, Kevy Walters is the coach of the year for me. I take your point on Andrew Webster. He wasn't even considered the second best coach at Penrith last year. Like everyone was talking about Cameron Ciraldo and obviously what Ivan Cleary's done, and he goes and gets a job at the Warriors and does what he does over the last 12 months. It's incredible. But to Breeny's point, the scrutiny that Kevin Walters is under, the amount of pressure he was under to turn that club around within the club and externally, to make a grand final and to play the brand of football they have and unearth the players that they have, It's
Let
gotta
me
be
frame
Kevin
it this way:
Walters.
who's got the least strongest squad out of the three?
Warriors.
The Warriors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean.
But they did
I
get
rest my
dusted
case.
42-12.
Yeah, but they're
Has
still
Ivan
there.
even-
They're still in the last four.
Has Ivan won a Coach of the Year?
Once.
Once.
Yeah.
Quickly, before we've got 1 more second left, I'm going to just ask you this. Michael Checker, is he the answer for the Tigers?
In some capacity, he can help the club. Coaching, director, consultant, not the GM of football. I think that's the way the West Tigers go, to have some experience around Benji Marshall, a renowned man manager. I think it'd be great if the Tigers did bring in Michael Checker, but I don't know if he has the ability to be the GM and run a salary cap and know the players around the game to actually pull that job off. But what he did with Lebanon was apparently very impressive.
He's a good businessman. He was in the rag trade for a long time. And
If I know Check at all, though, he will want to be coach. He said when he was at the Wallabies, they brought in Scott Johnson over the top of him. He said there's only got to be one boss. So I'd be surprised if he took on that role at the Tigers.
Could you see him doing a head coach in the NRL?
Well, he would. I think he'd love to do it. It's whether an NRL club would take that huge leap of faith to do it.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, gentlemen. Great to see you as always.
Get Eddie Jones to it.
I know he's going good, Eddie. He's fine.
With the finals around the corner, NRL on 9 has you covered.
From match highlights, press conferences, don't forget, Freddie in the 8.
Of course.
NRL on 9 has you covered for everything. One-stop shop.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a moment.